It's cold here in Texas, you guys, and it's still October. This does not bode well for the winter. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching. I am continuing ranking and reviewing every single Frank Zappa album from number one all the way to that last one, which shall not be named. And we are over the halfway point. We are at number 28, Joe's Garage, parts one, two, and three. We're at that part of the list where I finally get to the albums that a lot of people really seem to like, that I don't have quite as high an opinion of, though I do think they're really good, Joe's Garage being one of them specifically. I did kind of cheat. This was originally released where Joe's Garage Part 1 was released, I think, early in the year, and then about 6 months later, 2 and 3 came out. One of the reasons this album is where it is on the list is because I did combine them. Had they been separate, one would be a lot closer to number one. 2 and 3 would be lower than this. 2 is a problem. I don't like 2. But also, so I technically kind of cheated on that. And also, I don't think you can get them separately anymore. So essentially, they are combined now, and so I'm considering them as one album, which is why they are here. So, anyways, Joe's Garage was released in 1979. It is a concept album about a kid who. It's a convoluted concept album, but it starts in a garage with the band, a teenage band, and then there's groupies, and then eventually there's robots, and it's Frank craziness. But the first part actually kind of holds together quite well and is pretty much seems like part one seems like the necessary part, where 2 and 3 kind of seem like unnecessary sequels, even though 3 does contain some absolutely amazing music. The band is phenomenal. This was, for the most part, the 78 fall and 79 spring touring band. Vinnie Colaiuta and Arthur Barrow kind of holding it down. You have Mars and Wolf on the keyboards. Mike Willis is doing vocals. You got Warren Cucurullo. Patrick O'Hearn is also on bass on this because, it's studio stuff. And Ed Mann is there for percussion. And the band sounds phenomenal. The music is great. But the second part of this, which is so completely unnecessary, ruins this album for me. Also, we're going to go track by track and kind of break it down a little bit. Also, another thing, while the music is great and there's a lot of really good songs on this album, there is narration. There is narration. So it's not a concept album told through songs. It is a concept album told through some narration. That is another reason why I'm kind of soured on the album, because you kind of get tired of the narration, and had it not been there, or could I sequence it out because it was indexed as separate tracks, I would probably listen to this more, but it's not. You have to listen to the narration. That kind of, on the first song, which is nothing but narration, the backing track is actually pretty cool, and that kind of saves the album. But still, I usually skip the first track because it's narration. So then you got Joe's Garage, which is a great song, almost kind of like mimics The Who, and has that 3-chord Who power stomp at the end of it. It's a great song, kind of setting up the story. Catholic Girls is about Catholic girls, highly sexual, but it's got a really kind of funky middle section that the band gets to shine in. And then you have Cruise Slut closing out the first side, which is a blues jam about, roadies, not roadies, about groupies hooking up with roadies and musicians. A cruise slut, hence the name. That's side one. Phenomenal side, just a really good side of music. It sounds good. The guitar solo in Cruise Slut is great. It's just a fun side of music. Side two starts off with Wet T-Shirt Night, which is about a wet T-shirt contest. There's kind of a dialogue and a little scene acted out in here, but it's entertaining. That's followed by the first sort of full-length Frank guitar solo in here, which is used to be called Toto Line. It's now called On the Bus. And this is the full solo is like 9 minutes long and has been released on a one-shot deal under the title Occam's Razor. But this is sort of a 3.5 minute version of that lengthier solo. It's a great solo. There is a little narration in the middle of it, but it kind of works. But it's just it's really one of the highlights of the entire disc is this guitar solo. Check this out and then go check out the original. And it's interesting to see how Frank, was able to essentially cut it by 2/3 and make it something new. Then you get Why Does It Hurt When I Pee, which is just a great over the top, ridiculous rock song. And then what for me is the complete highlight of almost all three albums, Lucille Has Messed My Mind Up, a song that originally appeared on the Jeff Simmons album back in the early 70s. Ike sings so incredibly sincere, and it's emotional, and it's tender. It's just a really slow, kind of reggae-ish, heartfelt song that closes out the album, or at least part one, just in a rare note that Frank very seldom hits, at least when there's lyrics and singing involved. Instrumental he can. This is the full package. And that's part one right there, Joe's Garage part one. Great album, like really, really just strong stuff. And I think it would be much higher than this had part two not followed. So part two is completely unnecessary. Part two has a lot of songs that have been floating around for years. And so you also kind of feel like it was just hobbled together. Frank was like, I haven't done anything with this song. Let's force it into this story. So after the initial part one, which is pretty much about a kid who plays guitar, who gets famous, who gets groupies, and then has his mind messed up by who knows what. The second part gets, I don't know what the second part's about. There's robots and there's cyborgs and there's sex and somehow religion, I think, is involved. It's ridiculous. It opens up with a version of A Token of My Extreme from which first appeared in the 74 tours, like their opening song. And it's not very good, I don't think. It's just, I mean, it's I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't think it's a very good song. That's followed by Stick It Out, which was originally in the Devon Sofa Suite from 70-71 with Flo and Eddie. So all of a sudden that's now part of this story, and it has the same lyrics about a magical pig and what you would do with it and what you would stick out. I mean, it's not a bad little song. It's actually kind of fun to listen to, but it has nothing to do with the Joe's Garage story. Then you get Cyborg, which I actually do like as a song. That's a slower number. That is also from the 78 tour. It has nothing to do with what we're doing so far in the story. And all of a sudden you have this Cyborg song on there, which Frank had floating around for a couple years. Got a really nice Peter Wolf solo on it though. It's kind of a chill. I'm looking up to see if it's on Chicago 78. I'm pretty sure it is. But again, it just is like he's trying to make this story and connect these dots with songs that he's had floating around for years, and I just don't think it works. But anyways, that's followed by Dong Worked for Yuta, another song which had been floating around for years. I think that's on Halloween 77. Again, that's just not a good song to begin with. And it doesn't need to be released. It could have stayed as part of the live archives. Then you have Keep It Greasy, another song I didn't need released. Not a big fan of that song. Interesting solo, which actually comes from A City of Tiny Lights from the Winter 79 tour. But again, didn't need it. And then really the highlight of part two, Outside Now, which is another great song. Ike once again is doing a phenomenal job. This is also has a solo from, they originally was in A City of Tiny Lights from 79. This is actually pretty good. Great song, great solo, love it. But the first six songs on this are just rough. Like I skip them. I don't want to listen to them. I don't think they're good songs. They aren't good live. They're not good here. But my opinion. But anyways, then we get back to part three, which kind of resumes and we get back to some good stuff. He Used to Cut the Grass, which is kind of in the vein of Outside Now, has another really good guitar solo. Packard Goose, which is an attack on critics, has a great guitar solo, a great middle section, great vamp. This guitar solo, I think, comes from an Easy Meat from 79. They were not, Easy Meats were highly repetitive in them, and the vamp had this very kind of sluggish, slow, but actually removing the guitar solo and putting it over this new vamp, as he does here, makes it good. This is a great, Packard Goose is a great song. And then after that, you get Watermelon and Easter Hay, which is possibly one of Frank's greatest compositions. Well, it is obviously one of Frank's greatest compositions. It's a guitar solo. It's a beautiful guitar solo. It is, I think, iconic. I think when I saw Dweezil, last time I saw Dweezil, he like gave like a 5 minute speech before playing this, and it was highly emotional. And yeah, so this is Frank at his pure guitar pinnacle, God best. Great song. And then that closes out with a little fun thing called A Little Green Rosetta, which had kind of been floating around since the early Leather recordings. There's a kind of a version, a reference to this, on here, and then Muffin Man. But here, this is more just like a studio jam, and it's kind of fun, and it's not much to it, but it's a fun little thing, highly repetitive. But anyways, and that's Joe's Garage. And again, the first part is phenomenal. The first part is one of Frank's best. Yes, you might have issues with some of the lyrics, but musically phenomenal, and really he was telling a story, and it all works together. Part two is horrible. I don't like it at all. But then part three again is good. There's a lot of narration, but just really good. It is a concept album. It is a story, so expect that going into it. But really, yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think of Joe's Garage. I know a lot of people love it. I'm cool with that. I respect that. I don't. But anyways, yeah, enjoy it. Listen. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. And be safe. Have a good day. It's cold here in Texas, people. All right. Peace. Bye.